is actually related to ninth as by this is okay. So this is we call it as structure and composition of atmosphere, where I said there are number of gases that are present. That is nitrogen, oxygen, water vapor, carbon dioxide, and all these, which are very important to the health of the Earth's biosphere. That means if we are talking about the biosphere of the Earth, all these gases are very important. In this, nitrogen and oxygen are the main components, and they make up about 99% of the atmosphere, and they are very important for our life also. Next is nitrogen is removed from the atmosphere and deposited at the Earth's surface by specialized nitrogen fixing bacteria and by way of lightning through precipitation. The addition to this nitrogen to the Earth's, we all learned that in agriculture, nitrogen is one of the important components for the soil to be very good as well as for crops also. And then we also have oxygen, which is exchanged between the atmosphere and life through the processes of photosynthesis and respiration, which you will be learning in your biology, where you have a concept called as photosynthesis, respiration, and all that. Photosynthesis produces oxygen when carbon dioxide and water are chemically converted into glucose with the help of sunlight. A little bit of science here, that's why we call it as a social science. Geography is mainly related a little to biology, where when we are talking about atmosphere or we talk about gases, we talk about chemistry, we talk about biology, also we talk about in this. That's why it is referred to as social science also. Then in respiration, oxygen is combined with glucose to release energy for metabolism. The products of this reaction are water and carbon dioxide. Then the water vapor varies in concentration in the atmosphere. We all know that how the water vapor changes. The highest concentrations are found near the equator and then tropical rainforests, cold polar areas and subtropical continental deserts where volume of water vapor almost is zero. It has very several important functional roles also, like it redistributes the heat energy and also the other things. The condensation of water vapor creates precipitation. We all know that how does the condensation takes place. That is when the clouds are filled with water vapor, they condense, then it comes down in the various forms of precipitation. As Earth requires fresh water for plants and animals also, and also warm the Earth atmosphere through the greenhouse effect. Then we have carbon dioxide. This is, it has increased over 35%. That means the amount of carbon dioxide is increasing because of the wrong methods that we are following. Like, for example, burning of fossil fuels, deforestation, and also the irrigation patterns, the agricultural patterns, all these are some of the examples we give. Apart from that, carbon dioxide is also an important greenhouse gas. You all know about greenhouse effects and all that. The human caused increase in its concentration has strengthened the greenhouse effect and has definitely contributed to global warming. So as carbon dioxide keeps on increasing as such, the global warming also comes into existence. Then carbon dioxide also naturally exchanges between the atmosphere and life through the process of photosynthesis and respiration. Same thing. Another one is a methane. It is a very strong greenhouse gas. And since industrial revolution, that is in 1750 when we talk about, this concentration has increased by over 150%, which is also a very important strong greenhouse. That means whenever an MCQ is asked, what are the important gases that contribute to global warming or which are called as the greenhouse gases, means you will say carbon dioxide and methane also. Then the primary sources for additional methane added to the atmosphere are rice cultivation. Because of rice cultivation, domestic grazing of animals, termites, landfills, coal mining, oil and gas extraction, all this will lead to the increase of methane. The average concentration of the greenhouse gas nitrous oxide is also increasing. One more important gas, that means carbon dioxide, methane, nitrous oxide is also increasing year by year. Now, the concentration of ozone gas is found in two different regions. The majority of the ozone found in the atmosphere is concentrated in the stratosphere at an altitude of 50 to 15 kilometers. This is the structure of the atmosphere we talk about. That means what are the 5 layers? This is more important for you. Okay, the stratosphere ozone provides an important service. It absorbs ultraviolet radiation. You all know that what is the importance of the ozone as such. But this is also creating a problem because there are holes in the ozone layer because of the chlorofluorocarbons which are released into the atmosphere, and ozone is also highly concentrated the Earth's surface in and around the cities also. Okay, most of this ozone is created as a byproduct of human created photochemical smoke. So this is one more important additional point you can take. But the most important thing you talk about is the ozone layer. Next, we talk about the atmosphere. It surrounds the Earth from all sides. Generally, it extends up to about 1600 kilometers. If it is asked as a statistical way, where does the atmosphere or how far does it extend? Is that it extends to about 1600 kilometers from the Earth's surface, and 97% of the total amount of weight of the atmosphere is limited up to the height of about 30 kilometers. This is one important statistical information which you should know about the atmosphere. Then the atmosphere is divided to 5 layers according to the variation of temperature. So what are the 5 layers? These 5 layers should be very clear. Troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, ionosphere, and exosphere are the 5 layers. So this is a diagram you can have. How does it extend? Now, when you are learning the layers, what are the important things you have to learn is that what is the order, where do they extend, and what is the activity that takes place in each of the layer. That is what you have to learn in each and every layer. So troposphere is considered to be the lowest one. This is the troposphere. Okay, this is the lowest layer of the atmosphere. Height is 18 kilometers on the equator, 8 kilometers on the pole. That means as we move about to the poles, equator is the 0-degree latitude. As we move towards the poles, it decreases to 8 kilometers. The main reason for higher height at the equator is due to the presence of hot convection currents that push the gases upwards. This is the most important layer because all kinds of weather changes takes place in this layer only. So weather changes takes place in troposphere. These are the points you should be noting down properly when you are making your notes or when you are studying as such. Note down these notes. Troposphere, lowest layer, important changes takes place in this layer only, and the air never remains static in this layer. That's why it is also called as a changing sphere or the troposphere. Why it is called as troposphere? Because the air is never static. Static means it is not stable. The environmental temperature decreases with increasing height of the atmosphere. It decreases at the rate of 10 degrees centigrade at a height of 165 meters. This is called as a normal lapse rate. This is the definition. What is a normal lapse rate? Means that it decreases at the rate of. That means we all know that the temperature decreases with increasing height. As we move upwards, why do they carry oxygen cylinders? Is that because the temperature decreases. That is the reason why. So the decrease, what is the decrease? The decrease is at the rate of 10 degrees centigrade at a height of 165. This is called as a normal lapse rate. Upper limit is called as a tropopause, and then after this the temperature increases. So this is called as a transitional zone. In this zone, characteristics of both the troposphere and the ionosphere are found. This is one more diagram you can have. This layer is above the troposphere. Which is the layer I'm talking about? Stratosphere. Above the troposphere extends up to 50 kilometers to, and the average extent is 40 kilometers. Temperature remains almost same, and up to a height of 20 kilometers, the same temperature. The temperature increases slowly with the increase in the height. In troposphere, it decreases. Stratosphere, it increases. This is the definition. So make a table, troposphere and all that. And when you write the points, so you will know very clearly what are the differences as such. Then after this, the temperature increases slowly with increase in the height. The temperature increases due to the presence of ozone gas in the upper part of this layer. So why does it increase? Because of the ozone gas. Weather-related incidents do not take place in this layer. The air blows horizontally, this way, horizontally. Therefore, it is also considered for flying of aircraft. So where do the aircrafts fly is? It is the stratosphere, not in the troposphere. Okay, lower portion is also influenced by polar jet streams and subtropical jet streams. In the first 9 kilometers, the temperature remains constant with the height. Okay, a zone with constant temperature in the atmosphere is called as isothermal layer. Then the higher temperatures found in this region of the stratosphere occurs because of the localized concentration of ozone gas molecules. These are all extra points, but the main points are those which I explained just now. Am I clear, Vishnu and Yashwini? Because actually I have done all this. I'm just I'm running through once again. Yes, Yashwini, clear, ma?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Yashwini and Vishnu, am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. Next one is mesosphere. It is a third layer of the atmosphere spreading over this stratosphere, spreads to a height of 80 kilometers. All these numbers you have to remember. First is 18, next is 50, next is 80, I said, no? Next is 50, this is 80. And extent is 30 kilometers. Temperature goes on decreasing and drops up to minus 1000 Celsius. Meteors or falling stars occur in this layer. So very small mesosphere is. Ionosphere, fourth layer, located above the mesosphere, it spreads up to a height of 400 kilometers. So see how the distance is changing, and the width is 300 kilometers. The temperature starts increasing again with increasing height in this layer also. Electrically charged currents flow in this, and radio waves are reflected back on the earth from this sphere only, and due to this, radio broadcasting has become possible. So when they are sending the satellites or something, it is to the ionosphere. The ionosphere is a region of the atmosphere that is ionized by the solar radiation, and is also responsible for the auroras also. During the daytime, it stretches and all that. However, in the largely ceases during the night, so auroras are normally seen only in the thermosphere and lower exosphere. So ionosphere is meant for radio waves reflection. And where do the flights, where do the planes, aircrafts are flying? I said which sphere? Just now I told.
Stratosphere.
Stratosphere planes. Ionosphere is radio waves are reflected. Okay. Next, we have exosphere. This is the last layer located above the ionosphere and extends above 400 kilometers. Gases are very sparse. Last layer has an altitude greater than 80 kilometers and is called a thermosphere. Temperatures can be greater than 1200 degrees Celsius. These high temperatures are generated from the absorption of intense solar radiation by oxygen molecules. While these temperatures extreme, the amount of heat energy involved is very small. Okay. This is not a very important one. Then homosphere, heterosphere, all the other things. So we will go to weather today. Till here, the spheres are clear. Many I will be sending the notes also for you all. Am I clear with all the layers of the atmosphere?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, sure. Then we'll go to weather. I think ninth class, if you have done ninth class CBSE, this lesson is there called as climate. In this, all these points are there in the lesson of climate. Let us say. So what is weather? There are two concepts which are called as weather and climate. Always people think that weather and climate are very, very important or same. No, weather is different, climate is different. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between weather and climate? Is there a difference at all? Is there a difference between weather and climate or no?
Yes, ma'am. Weather is temporary, whereas climate is long term.
Very good. And also weather is a daily basis. You talk it about the way with the daily way. Like you say that how is the weather today? We normally say, and you also have this newspaper records, and even in the news also, when at the end of the news bulletins, if you see, for example, they say weather forecast. Weather forecast is that even when you watch a cricket match or when you watch a football match, also they'll give you the entire thing: temperature, humidity, rainfall. All that is nothing but weather. That means, like Vishnu said just now, it is temporary. And then climate is considered to be permanent. That means India is having a monsoon type of climate. It is a monsoon type of climate. It doesn't change. If our years, centuries together, it remains the same. But whereas weather can change on a daily basis. Morning it may be very sunny, but by the time of evening it can be cloudy. Or morning it is cloudy, and in the evening or afternoon it may become sunny also. So weather is totally different. So it refers to the physical state of the atmosphere within 24 hours. As I told you that it is 24 hours we take. Described by weather elements such as temperature, atmospheric pressure, humidity, rainfall, cloudiness, wind speed, and wind direction. Just now I told you that when you see any football match or cricket match, for example, if you see, they will give you the weather forecast. What is weather forecast is that they talk about the temperature, they talk about the pressure, they also talk about the humidity, they talk about the rainfall. Is there a chance of occurrence of rainfall? Is there a cloudy weather or partly clouded or fully cloudy? All that will come into weather forecast only. So who will tell us all this? There is something called as Indian Meteorological Department, IMD. Now, this is an agency of the Ministry of Earth Sciences of the Government of India. All this you should know in your objective that they may ask you. The IMD forms a part of which ministry? It is the Ministry of Earth Sciences of the Government of India. It is a principal agency responsible for meteorological observations, weather forecasting, and seismology. Now, meteorological observations is that you must be knowing that before the monsoon starts, they will give a report saying that this year India will be receiving normal monsoon rainfall, or after once a rainfall is over, they will give you the analysis whether it was normal, whether it was excess, whether there was a deficit. The state-wise, region-wise, they will give you. That is what is called as meteorological observations. Next is weather forecasting. They even give warning also that there is a cyclone, there is a flood, there is a tsunami, all these. Seismology also, earthquake. Of course, earthquake cannot be predicted, but once the earthquake comes, they even talk about the epicenter and also the effects of the earthquake. Where did it occur? What is the range of the things? All these are given by the IMD only. It is headquartered in New Delhi, remember the name, and operates hundreds of observation stations across India and Antarctica. We have something called as Maitri. Maitri and one more is there. I'm not able to get the name. In Antarctica, we have an weather station which is called as Gangotri and Maitri, I think, if I'm not mistaken. There are two stations over there which also reads the entire climatic conditions, weather conditions of Antarctica over there. It is also one of the 6 regional specialized meteorological stations, centers of the World Meteorological Organization. It is one of the regional ones as such. It has a responsibility for forecasting, naming, and distribution of warnings for tropical cyclones in the northern Indian Ocean region, including the Malacca Straits, the Bay of Bengal, the Arabian Sea, and the Persian Gulf. Now, you must have heard about that. For example, if there is a cyclone, for example, they give a name. You all know that? Cyclone, this cyclone, that they will be talking. Have you heard that names at least? You must be having an idea. Yeah, these names are actually given by our IMD only. This is they will give the names, all the names, whatever comes, no, they will give these particular names to all the cyclones which occur. Where do they give is that which are the areas they cover is that entire North Indian Ocean. That means entire Asia. For example, if you take Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, all these countries, wherever they give this particular names they give. So these are the areas. So it is one of the 6 regional specialized meteorological centers of the World Meteorological Organization. So it will be responsible for forecasting, naming, and distribution of warnings. They give, you must have heard about orange alert, red alert, green alert. All these are alerts depending upon the intensity of the cyclone, how destroying it is, how dreadful it is. Why do they give that alert? Now, for example, if there is a cyclone, they will give warning signals 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If they give that signals, that means accordingly the intensity of the cyclone is also given to the people so that they can be careful. And they also give warning to the fishermen. You must have heard about that. The weatherman has warned the fishermen not to venture into the sea and all that. These are the things. So orange alert is also, which is predicted for a heavy rainfall, very heavy rainfall, so that people need not go out as such. This is the importance of the Indian Meteorological Department. Am I clear till here? Weather is a temporary one, which is recorded for 24 hours for a local region as such. Am I clear with that? Yes?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Next, what is climate? Now come back to climate. It is commonly defined as the weather average over a long period of time over a large area. Usually it is for 30 years. When you are defining the weather of a particular area or a time, what is the time period they take is 30 years. That means if it continues for more than 30 years, it becomes the climate of that particular area. Maybe slight changes may be there after 30 years and 40 years. Slight changes may be there. Like for example, if you take slowly the temperatures are increasing, or we are also finding chill winters. Actually, winters are considered to be very, very severe in certain parts of India, but slowly these areas also are not witnessing that severe winters also. That is also a change. There is a slight change here and there, but it doesn't happen normally, only for a period of 30 years we give. The word climate, I'm sorry, the word climate, well, it is not, the word climate, I'll change that. The word climate is derived from the ancient Greek word. Always it is coming in world. Klima, which means inclination. So remember this word. This is the word. Sometimes they will ask you in the objective type. You should know. Klima means inclination. Okay. It is measured by assessing the patterns of variation in temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, wind, precipitation, atmospheric particle count, and other meteorological variables. But remember this: temperature, humidity, atmospheric pressure, wind, precipitation. These are considered to be the most important. This is a higher part of it. You need not go into that particular details. Atmospheric particle count and all that will be very highest levels, which is not important. These things are very important. So climate is measured by taking into consideration what are the important factors. One is temperature, one is humidity, one is atmospheric pressure, wind, and precipitation. These are the important points. A region's climate is generated with a climatic system which have 5 components. So how is it generated? Is that because of the atmosphere, hydrosphere, cryosphere, lithosphere, and biosphere? These are all the various spheres by which a climate of a country is described, or a climate system is generated or described in a particular country. What is cryosphere means? It is those portions of Earth's surface where water is in solid form. That is sea ice, lake ice, river ice, snow cover, glaciers, ice caps, ice sheets, and frozen ground, which includes permafrost. Am I clear? What is cryosphere means? Which is where water is in solid form. What is a solid form is sea ice. Then you have wherever, that means the ice part is referred to as cryosphere. So it can be lake ice, it can be glaciers, it can be ice caps, it can be ice sheets also. All these are called as cryosphere. So what are the factors that are controlling the temperature distribution? First is latitude. Now, in your 6th class, you must have learned about the latitudes and the longitudes. So the places which are all located on the same latitudes will experience more or less the same temperature. The places which are located in different latitudes will have different temperatures. This is the basic rule you have to understand. The places which are all located on the same latitude will experience same temperature. Okay, so first one is latitude. Due to the Earth's inclination, the temperature diminishes from the equatorial region towards the polar regions. The insolation heats at a small area in equatorial region as the sun's rays travel a shorter distance. I'll tell you. Now, for example, if you take in the equatorial region, the sun's rays fall vertically. So when they fall vertically, what happens? They will occupy a smaller area. When they occupy a smaller area, they generate a lot of heat. That is, the region by equatorial region is called as a 0-degree latitude and experiences very high temperatures. But as we move from the equator, the sun's rays fall more and more slantingly. When they fall slantingly, what happens is that they occupy a larger area. When they occupy the larger area, the temperature will be less. This is the basic rule which we have to understand. Okay, vertical, they occupy small area, generate very high temperature. As they move from the equator towards the pole, the sun's rays fall more and more slantingly. As they fall more and more slantingly, the heat also gets distributed. So the temperature recorded also will be less. You all know that when we go to the poles, the temperature is freezing. Why does it freeze? Is that because the sun's rays fall more and more slantingly. For example, if you take the North Pole and the South Pole, they have 6 months winter and 6 months a day and 6 months night. Why do they have that? Because the sun does not, the sun's rays do not reach over there. Okay. Am I clear with latitude? Yes, ma'am? Both of you? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Next one is altitude. Next one we talk about is altitude. The atmosphere is heated by the energy radiated by the Earth's surface. So how is that atmosphere is heated is that what we received is radiated by the Earth's surface. What do you mean by radiated is that how much of heat we receive, we also return back to the atmosphere, which you call it as terrestrial radiation. Okay, that's been heated by insolation, and the places nearer to the Earth's surface are warmer than the places away from the surface. Hence, as the height increases from the Earth's surface, the temperature decreases. So, where do you find more temperature? Why do people go to hill stations? Why do we go to hill stations? Because the temperature is very cool over there. That means as we move away from the Earth's surface, what do you mean by the Earth's surface? Is the sea level. That means the areas which are near the surface of the Earth or which are near this Earth's surface, or you call it as a sea level, you find that the temperatures are very high. Like for example, if you take Hyderabad or you take Telangana or you take the states which are there, these experience very high temperatures. But when you go to Uti or Udugamandalam or you go to Shimla, Mussoorie or Nainital, all these places, why do you find that the temperature is less? Give the answer. Why the temperature is less over there?
Because of altitude.
Because of the altitude they are situated. As we move up, as the height grows, the temperature decreases. That is a common phenomenon. Common formula it is called as. So these things, no children, in geography, these are basics. If you know these particular concepts, it is very easy to understand. It's not a Greek and Latin thing. These are all basic things. Latitude is that wherever the sun's rays fall vertically, temperatures are very high, because vertical rays will cover a smaller area and the heat generated is very high. That is the reason why temperature is very high. But as we move from the equator, that the sun's rays fall more and more slantingly. As they fall more slantingly, they occupy lesser area. When they occupy the lesser area, the heat generated is also less. Hence, the temperature is less. That is latitude. Then when you talk about altitude, if you start from the sea level, the temperature is very high. But as we move above, as we are moving from the sea level to above, we find that the temperature decreases. Why does it decrease? Is that because of the altitude? Am I clear? These two are the most important concepts to understand with regard to the climatic conditions of the weather of a particular area. Am I clear with that? Next one we talk about is continentality. What is continentality? Is that the land heats up. Now, you take the coastal areas and you take the normal areas, interior areas, or you call it as the land. For example, if you take Chennai, Mumbai, or you talk about Calcutta, these three areas record less temperature. Even during the summer also, they don't record temperature more than 35 to 37 degrees. Maximum is 37. But whereas if you take other states, they may be recording 45 degrees, 46 degrees also. Why is the difference? Yes. Why is the difference? Why does land gets? Because land gets heated up fast rather than the sea. For example, if you take Mumbai, Chennai, and Calcutta, all the three have the sea. So by the time the entire sea water heats up and that particular heat is reflected onto the places, it takes a lot of time. That is the reason why there is moderation. Whereas in land, there is no question of sea over there. So the land heats up very fast and it is radiated very fast. That is the reason why we experience very high temperatures. That is what you call it as continentality. Am I clear with that? Continentality? Yashwini and Vishnu.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, clear? So
Yes, ma'am.
land gets heated up faster, and whereas the water, you can take your own example only. If you put a big vessel full of water, it takes a lot of time to get boiled, isn't it or not? Very simple example. Yeah, you put a very big vessel, fill it with water and put it on the stove. Does it take very fast, or will it boil very fast, or it will take a lot of time to boil? It will take a lot of time to boil. That is the example you give for the sea also. So the entire sea water has to get heated up. Once it gets heated up, it will radiate onto the Earth's surface. As it takes a lot of time to get heated up, they maintain a moderate climatic conditions, whereas the land does not have this power. have this opportunity. So the land heats up faster and cools down faster compared to the water bodies. Hence, the interiors of the continents are warmer in the summers and colder in the winter compared to with the land on the margins along with the oceans. So the lands experience severe summers, severe winters, whereas the coastal areas have a moderate climatic conditions throughout the year, whether it is summer or winter. They don't experience that type of severity either in summer or in winter also. Am I clear? Next, the most important thing, other thing we talk about is that the other thing we talk about is ocean currents and winds. Now, when we say ocean currents, 1 second, children. 1 second. He's calling. I don't know. Hello? అన్ని మార్చారా ఎంత అవుతుంది? అవును అవును సరే అమ్మాయి ఎందుకయ్యా అంతకన్నాము చూడు చూడు మరి ఎక్కువైతే చూడు వస్తుంది సరే చూడేమన్నా చేయగలరా సరే అలా So ocean currents is one more thing. What are ocean currents? That is, they are cold and warm. You have cold currents, you have warm currents. They can affect your temperature by transporting the heat or coldness to your region. If a cold warm current is coming, it will give you cold effect. If it is a warm current, then it will give you a warm effect. So you can give the examples, like for example, a cold ocean current like Labrador will give you a chilling effect in the northeast Canada. So we find that in certain countries, we find that there is a, you call it as, what is it called, a snow wave, or you call it as cold wave, you call it as, or they have chilling temperatures where the temperatures will go below minus degrees when they go. It is nothing but because of the Labrador current. Or for example, if there is a warm current, for example, like there is a one particular warm current which you call it as Chinook, this will give a warm effect from the cold which is experienced by the United States as such. Okay, next one is natural vegetation. You all know that if you have more natural vegetation, then it will act as a shield against insolation, and then you will have moderating climate. That is a present problem we are facing because of deforestation. We are all calling the cities as concrete jungles. Why the temperatures are increasing in cities is because of the absence of natural vegetation. Then you have the soils also. The type of soil that is present also. That means light colored soils will reflect the heat, whereas the dark colors will try to absorb more insolation. That means they will not radiate the heat. So soil also plays a very important role. So apart from this, there can be many other local factors also, but these are considered to be the main thing: latitude, altitude, continentality, ocean currents, and soil, natural vegetation. These are all the important factors which can affect the climate of a particular area. Apart from this, you can have some local aspects also, like temperature influence, like a day-to-day things. Some weird changes can take place, but basically these are the main factors which will be influencing the climate of a particular area. Am I clear with that? Yeah. Shailja, do they have one more class?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll stop sharing. I'll come back. Wait.
We will join once again, ma'am.
No, I will stop here, Shailja.
Okay, ma'am.
I'll stop here. Next week I can continue because I will start again a new topic again.
New topic.
Till here,
okay.
that is the next part I have to start. Till here it is I've explained layers and I've explained climate and weather. Next again I have to start with insulation, which is a very topic. I don't want to start in between and leave it. I'll start fresh again next week.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Is it clear, ma? Whatever I said, Vishnu and Yashwini?
Yes, ma'am, clear.
Yeah, it is clear, no? Yeah. Okay, ma'am. Bye, Shailaja.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much, Shamla. Join again, students.